Yeah. So I'm thinking here, attitude. So how do we approach this with a young guy, right? So let's say I want to be a hockey player. Okay. So how do you want to be a hockey player? What does that mean to you? Well, to have a good attitude about it is like, I want to be the best hockey player I can. Let's say it's that. So I'm talking to a kid right now.
Yep.
What do you want in life? You want to be a hockey player? Okay. How good of a hockey player do you want to be? I want to be the best player I can. Okay. So that's an attitude. I want to be the best player I can. And I'm going to say the same thing I would say for someone that I'm coaching, like to execute as a hockey player. I'm going to give you 3 things that you can work on every shift to say that I had a good shift, right? You take 3 qualities that you have, or 4, but not too many. But a couple things you can work on to make a habit. Number 1, I'm always going to be I'm going to make a good pass. I'm going to back check hard. 3 things, whatever, in a game. So you do the same thing with your attitude. Because if you don't know, like I'm talking about a 13-year-old kid that's going to try this, right?
Yeah.
I want to have a good attitude. My attitude is important. Well, what does that mean? Okay, let's. I want to be a good hockey player. Okay, that's number 1. What makes a good hockey player? Like what's going to make you a good hockey player? Well, you're going to have to compete and whatever. So okay, I'm going to compete as hard as I can at everything I do. So that's an attitude. That's an attitude. That if you take that one attitude right there, going to compete and give the best that I can do every single time. That's an attitude. So now when you come to the rink, you turn on, I want to be a great hockey player, right? So you walk into the rink and like really nothing else should matter. It shouldn't really matter if the guys are joking around and you're getting ready for hockey and you're doing the drill as absolutely as hard as you can. And you do it right, you do it wrong, you're doing it your best. You know that you are meeting a requirement that you've asked of yourself to be the best that you can be. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So if you can just do that every drill, when the coach, so what does that mean as well? The coach is talking, you want to be the best, so you're going to listen. You're going to give him the best as well. So you're giving your best at all times. So that hour and a half that you're on the ice, you're going to give your best. Now, if you do that, there's an attitude, and there's an attitude that counts, right? And someone, you always get rewarded for hard work and for being your best. No one could ever deny you from that. So that would be a number 1 thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could spin off of that. What else do I need to do? So and I'm going to use the person that asked yesterday, like to do this podcast. Yeah. What I see the biggest flaw that he has is he's just distracted on the ice. What I see is that he's looking for things to distract him, for things to, like when someone chirps, he's right into the chirp fest, and it's like he gets in his head and it's over. And he keeps looking at us for things. He'll skate by a bench. He looks at the bench and he's waiting for the chirp. So what's happening is now, and this is one of my number 1 rules when I coached is I told the kids, I said, you never, ever, ever speak to a referee, good or bad, unless you say good game ref or whatever. But I said, I do not want you speaking to a ref. Number 2, I do not want you speaking to the other team. So some of the guys couldn't get over that because they like to chirp a little bit. But I said, okay, here's the thing, guys. As soon as you get out of your own head, they've got your energy. So if someone calls you whatever name, if that's bothering you, you're off your game. I don't care. Now, some people make the argument that, you get in the game by chirping and stuff. Well, I disagree. And you're just not going to do it with my team. I haven't seen it work to too many people's benefit, to be honest.
I would say it's rare. Like there's a couple guys, like if you look at the National Hockey League, there's a couple guys that come to mind that can do that. Like Marchand is one.
That's
Otter was one.
Yeah.
Very few though.
Yeah. But let's just say Otter was one and Marchand's one. Their words, to me, it means nothing. Right. Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
If I let that into my head, I'm ruined.
Yeah.
So you can say whatever you want. I don't care. You can make fun of my, you could go cross every line that you're allowed to cross, like you're not allowed to cross anymore. You say those things. If I pay attention to that, I'm out of my own head. So this is like, again, mental toughness 101. Control what you can control, right? And you can control whether that affects you or not, or whether you listen to that. So having the attitude of going on the ice, giving it your best, and then controlling the distractions, like for this young guy, is like that would be your number 1 thing right now, is to worry about what you are doing at this particular time, which is basically mental toughness 102 is control the controllables, and then live in the, like, be present.
Yeah.
So if you're present, meaning you're actually here to play hockey, to work on a skill, to train, to, you know, to have a shift or
that's
whatever.
The purpose.
That is all you care about. And that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. So if someone's calling you the worst names or saying you suck and all these kind of things, you don't even hear it because you're focused on, okay, when the puck drops, I have a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all. And when you can do that, that's when you find, like, the distractions, they don't mean anything anymore. Yeah. So I'm telling you, man, I've seen too many guys get caught up in the words and the reffing and all these different things. There's nothing that they can control, and their game goes sideways, and they're so distracted that it doesn't matter. And that's what so for you know who this is for, that would be something I would really concentrate on, is control what you can control. Be the best hockey player you can. Number two, the distractions, you have to learn how to eliminate them because they're just words.
Yep. I'm going to throw a third on that.
Sure.
And the last one for me, because this is one that particularly bothers me when kids do this, and I'm not saying that this kid in particular does this a lot, but he does do it sometimes, is the body language.
Yep.
Because you can not focus on, you know, the things that are distracting in the game. You can compete as hard as you can compete, and you can still have bad body language, which still just gives the appearance that you don't give a shit about what's going on. So this could be a facial expression. This could be the shoulder shrug. This could be moving slowly.
Yeah.
Like, so, and that is also an attitude. So when you go, that'll be the final for the three, let's say, for somebody to work on in terms of attitude in particular. I'm going to compete as hard as I can, no matter what. I'm not going to get distracted by whatever's going on around me. I'm going to focus on what the point of me being here is, or what the purpose is. And I'm going to have good body language the whole time I do it. And those are three things where if you come into the rink and say, okay, I want to be a good hockey player, and in terms of attitude, it means those three things, then you start to work on those three things. And you can tangibly work on those. Like, none of those are abstract. Like, going as hard as you can, you can try.
That's why we said those.
Exactly.
It's not like have a good attitude. That's a big word.
Exactly.
It means a lot of things.
Non-specific.
But being the best hockey player you can, that dials it down into a very narrow field.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So now if you're really, really, sorry if I cut you off, I apologize.
No, it's all right.
But what that means, like, for me, that makes life simple. Well, actually, it made my life simple. I'm gonna be a hockey player. That took everything, parties, all these different things, and it made my life simple. I want to be a hockey player. So what does that mean? Well, I hate school. Okay, but to be a hockey player right now, as a young boy, school is part of it. So you have to go. Okay, I'll go and do my best, the best I can. It means here's a bag of Doritos. Okay, so like, and I'm not saying do this all in one day because it's not going to happen, but you become more aware of everything. So your distractions of, you know, you're going out for pizza, or you're going to have a bag of Doritos, and you're eating like shit, you kind of go, okay, maybe that's not what the hockey players do. So being the best hockey player you can be, maybe you're aware of that, you start working on that a little bit, man. Not you're 13. Who cares? Yeah. But work on that a little bit and have a little victory here and there. You don't have to win it every time, but have one. We're gonna hang out at the skateboard park and, you know, smoke some cigarettes. It's like, no, that's not what hockey players do. It's like, it becomes very, very simple. Yeah. If you want to be this, then you kind of have to act this way, and you just simply stay in those lines. Yeah. And it makes life so much simpler. Yeah.
That's why we always talk about writing things down. And when you're 13, like, you don't care about like keeping track of this or self-improvement. Like, those are concepts that your brain can't really handle yet, hard. Unless you have like exceptional maturity for your age, which some kids actually do, but most don't. So the point of all this is not to make, like, for you to be a master of attitude when you're 12. It's that you start to bring attention to the things that are important for what you are saying you want to do. Yeah. And that's what, like I was talking about some of those 07 kids, that's what I'm starting to put in their head now. It's like, you have a goal that means a few things if you actually want that, which you say you do. So it's time to start when you're 13 and 14, because you're judged very young. It's time to start bringing that into your awareness. So if you have something like attitude that might be a problem, all these things, like you're saying, it's not to make you the attitude master. It's to make you start to think about those things. So one thing that I like to do, if you're at all interested in doing this for kids, is we talk about the reading thing, but actually writing down the thing you want to work on. So a phase that I'm in again now, which I fall out of it and then I come back to it all the time, is in the morning I set like an intention for the day.
Yep.
And sometimes I forget what I wrote down.
Yep.
Sometimes I go through my day and I completely forget what the intention was that I said, or I don't even think about it once for the rest of the day.
Yep.
But the point is, for that initial part of my day and the period of time that it stays in my head, I have that as a focus because it just keeps bringing attention to it.
Yeah.
So every day it's like, okay, today I'm going to go to hockey practice and I'm going to not chirp once. That's my goal for today. Right?
Perfect.
That's my goal.
And that's perfect.
That you still go home and play all the video games you want. You still go to the skate park. You still do all the other stupid things that maybe you shouldn't do if you're more dialed in. But today that was my thing that I'm trying to fix.
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to work on for an hour. For an hour, I'm going to not talk shit to my teammates or whoever on the ice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to come to the gym and I'm going to make sure I look at my coach when he talks every time.
That's right.
Or whatever. And those are little things that can start to just bring it into your awareness without going overboard and like being a robot at 13 or whatever, because that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But that's what these things can do for you. You start to bring it to awareness. So if you can write it down, or everyone has a phone, if you just write it on your phone or something, you can even just forget about it. But just the fact that you wrote it down, it's like you brought it into your head. Like you thought about it today, which is important because that starts to lay the groundwork to make those things over time start to be habits, right?
Yeah. Well,